All right, welcome to episode number 38 of our podcast. And today we have a very special guest we'll introduce to you very shortly. Knee-deep in soccer, right? Makeup games are going on this week since we missed out with the rain on our first game day. Those are going good, right?
Yeah, they're going good. Had one last night. Taya played. But they're going well.
Well, in light of games being played now, we have players of the week, coaches of the week.
Yep.
And so we're going to kick that off, and we're going to start with our Lionheart player of the week. Lionheart, by the way, experienced safe, loving, Christ-centered care at Lionheart Children Academy, serving families for over 10 years. What a great organization that is. Check them out, Lionheart Academy at lionheartkid.org. This week's Lionheart Player of the Week is Zariah of the first grade Halconis team. First ever game for her, by the way.
She's a cutie.
She is, and she scored not one, not two, but 3 goals this week. Started off not so well because she was in tears getting out there, as you can imagine with your first game, but showed great sportsmanship, knocked it out of the park, scoring 3 goals in her first ever game. Congratulations. You are our player of the week, sponsored by Lionheart.
Yes, and our coach of the week, sponsored by Exquisite Irrigation and Lawn, goes to Clayton Wills. Clayton is a coach of 2 teams. He's an assistant on the kindergarten Ninjas team, and then he's head coach of the second grade Dragons team. Clayton and his family, man, they're such good people. They have had just such a busy first season. They had a game on Saturday that they did well with. Clayton has a new assistant coach, Matt, who is doing a great job. And Clayton had double duty for the concession stand last night as well. And so he and his family jumped in. He was a busy man last night. So shout out to Clayton. Clayton, thanks so much for your leadership, both on and off the pitch. Shout out to his kids, Nolan and Evelyn, and also his wife, Cassandra. Thank you guys so much for serving. Y'all do a great job. And if you're looking for a top-tier landscaping and irrigation company in the DFW area, Exquisite Irrigation, they handle it all. Go ahead and go to their website and visit exquisitelawns.com and give Derek Hicks a call. He'd love to hear from you.
All right, let's kick this off with our guest.
Yes, the one and only.
The one and only. Let me tell you, before we even introduce him, 12, 13 years ago, I can't remember which, you said, Katrina Parlin, do you want to help coach your son in Upward since you guys are playing?
Is this flag football?
This is flag football.
Okay.
And I said, no, I don't. And then you said, but we need you. And I said, okay, I will. And then
that conversation that I've had so many times.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then you said, well, let me make it easier on you. I'll partner you with somebody that I think you'll love. And she was absolutely correct. And that is our guest today. I'll let you do the formal introduction.
Yeah, man, the formal introduction. Mr. John Hibbs. John is a faithful worker of our children's ministry for probably more years than I've been alive. I don't know that that's true necessarily.
Almost.
But man, John, you are also known as Captain Underpants at our. There you go. He did the flex. He did the superhero flex right there at our kids camp. And you've been going to kids camp for how many years?
25 consecutive
25 consecutive years. He works weekly in our children's ministry on Sunday morning. And he's been an asset to the sports ministry for, as long as I've been here. He's worn many hats. He's been a coach. He has been a scorekeeper. He's been the devotional guy on Saturday mornings for basketball season. So many faces know and love Mr. John Hibbs. So, John, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. And let me just start off by saying I love this organization. Love you guys for the work that you put in. I mean, you will never get paid enough for what you do. just know that you're earning that big old crown in heaven, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I hope to see lots of people there.
Yeah.
Because of our sports
Right,
ministry.
right.
Yeah. You're such an encouragement to me, Mr. John. I mean, like you'll text me, midday, like on a Wednesday, and just remind me about somebody that you've seen in the grocery store, that you first met through sports, doing sports with us. And that is such an encouragement to me.
Well, it's just ongoing because I see the other half of what your sports program does because, I'm a sixth grade connection group teacher, and then I also have Kids Rock. And I'm able to see these kids that I'll see on Saturday morning, and I'll announce their names and such, and they'll come, "Oh, you're that guy."
Yeah, you're that guy.
Yeah.
But then just, over and over and over again, they just talk about how they were able to be introduced to the Lake Church, and so many. So I know there's no doubt. There's a song that was written many years ago, and I just want to thank you for giving to the Lord. And I truly believe that both of you are going to get to heaven. There's going to be this line of people that just come up and say, "You know what? I met Jesus because of you," and that's what is so unique to this program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think recreation ministry is so unique in that it takes so many touches relationally to get someone to the front door of the church, visiting on Sunday morning, Kids Rock, or and that's what weekly games and practices do, is they give you those opportunities to have those relationships, develop them, continue them, so that they look at the LC and say, "Oh yeah, I've played sports at Lake Church.
Yeah.
Why not visit on a Sunday morning? I know those people, and so it's just such a different ministry, but I love it. It's a ministry to the whole family, I believe.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, like, I don't want to brag on you too much because I know that you're not going to sit there and just let us brag on you the entire episode, But let me tell you why you're an inspiration and an example to so many people. I was reading about Franklin Roosevelt the other day, and there was a quote that stuck with me. Someone went to a retired Supreme Court justice, he's in his 90s at this point, and said, "What do you think of Franklin Roosevelt?" And the retired justice said, "Well, second-rate education, first-rate temperament." And I thought to myself, I'd like to be known that way, because it doesn't matter what you know. It's how you interact with people that matters. And relationally, that's what you've always meant to me and my kids and so many others, is I know that when I come and talk to you, I'm going to get the kind of temperament that I need that's going to, nourish my soul.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that's who you are to me.
Well, I appreciate that. I was at first thinking you were going to go that I'm that old.
No. No, but I think that, for the things that we talk about on this show, for the most part, with kids and how they interact in sports, and more importantly, how parents interact with their kids and whatnot, man, to have somebody like you that you just ooze positivity towards these kids, and you can't say enough about that. So thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I think that's echoed throughout this organization, though. I mean, I see the people that you put forward. You don't allow just anybody to coach. You make sure that the people are grounded, or maybe even give them the opportunity to show that they can move into that position. But you see those qualities, you see those attributes, and that's why I think that this sports recreation ministry that is so safe for so many parents. I mean, they can feel like, okay, our child is going to get more out of this than just the fundamentals.
Right.
I used to always go and say, hey, parents, I wanted to have your kids learn 3 things. We're going to have fun.
Yep.
We're going to learn the fundamentals. Then we're going to learn about faith.
Yeah.
And that is because faith is virtues and quality. And those are the things that are so cool. And so I think that, can be broadened out to so many.
Yeah.
So many
Yeah.
great people. And this is all volunteer.
Yeah,
Most
exactly.
people don't understand this, especially when it comes to the referees.
Yeah.
I think, they're making minimum wage or something.
Yeah.
No, we don't have enough money
Yeah.
Right. To get to minimum
But you
wage.
see the people that will volunteer their time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're smiling and they're trying to uplift those kids. It is such a great ministry.
And that's why I always I always correct people when they say, "Oh, your basketball league is a developmental league." No, it's not. It's a relational league. It's not. It's not. It doesn't even develop players. Like, yes, we practice skills and we do things, but it's more about the relations that you're building, the relationships. So
Well, Mr. John, I only know you on this side of your coaching story, and that's mainly you coach flag football for us and a little bit of basketball, but for the most part, you've been on the other sidelines, keeping score, keeping the clock, doing the game day announcing. I don't know the John Hibbs that coached his children.
Oh,
So, if you're anything like me, that your philosophy on sports, on specifically youth sports, on coaching, on all these things, like mine has changed. Yours has changed a lot, in the past 2 years.
Yep.
Tell me about when you coached Christian, who is your oldest. Right. He is how old now?
He is 35.
He's 35. And then Jamie is your middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Aaron is your youngest. How old is Aaron?
Aaron is 28.
Okay, so 35 to 28.
Right.
Yep. So tell us stories about when you coach them and maybe some of your youth sports philosophy and how that changed.
Well, all three of them. Everybody's seen the Good, Bad, and Ugly by Clint Eastwood. Sure. I was kind of like Clint Eastwood. I was a little bit good, bad, and ugly. Truly, when you can go back and look back, there are some things that absolutely I can be so proud of. Is that being able to coach all three kids for their entirety of their time all the way through 8th grade. I mean. Pre-kindergarten to 8th grade. I mean, I was able to coach Christian in soccer, basketball, baseball, football, and then Jamie in soccer, basketball, volleyball, Aaron soccer, basketball, volleyball. And, I had some great opportunities. The first time one of those kids would score a goal, they come over and slap my hand and just say, hey.
Yeah.
And it just brought life to you. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
But I've got a picture that I saw just this morning that popped up on my picture frame. And it was like with Aaron. And I'm looking at everybody on the field, and I've got this coaching face on, looking at and Aaron's sitting over to my side, dejected, picking roses or something. But when I look at Christian, I go in, and I believe this is the way with all coaches. All coaches, they agree to coach, say, okay, I'm going to do it for the good of the team. I want to be able to have that interaction with my son. I want to be able to build that up. Sometimes you can go two ways. You can go to a situation that you go and say, hey, I can't be too preferential for my son, and then play them all the time, and everybody else go and say, well, your son's getting all the good treatment.
Right.
And then you can't get on the other side that you too hard with them.
Right.
I mean, it's a real balance.
Yeah.
It is.
It's hard.
And I caught myself, depending on what the sport was.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with baseball where he was excelling.
That's what I was going to say, especially when they're good at it.
Yeah.
And you're trying
And one of the things that I'll go and say was hard is when we made all-star team. And we actually took them to the regionals.
Yeah.
All-stars, the dynamics changed a little bit. There's not the playing rules, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to better your record and win, right?
Yeah.
And, we're in the middle of the game, and the kid that had been playing for me since kindergarten was rising up alongside Christian, and he hadn't gotten any playing time that way. And I mean, the parents came and said, we're in this game and they haven't gotten in yet. And they were due to get in, but it was a situation that at that time you were thinking in your head, this is what we've got to do. You know, we were wanting to get to the Little League World Series type of thing. And, but I really had to go and, you know, take a step back right then, because that was like a real wake up moment to me is, you know, am I putting, you know, my son first, or am I putting the team first? And, but, you know, I was able to then go and, you know, start my temperament a little bit and you know, kind of readjust where, you know, there was times that Christian would have a basketball game first thing in the morning and then play 2 back-to-back baseball games in the afternoon. And, you know, at that time I was coaching basketball for the YMCA, and then I had the select league, and I would have to work with the coaches. And I even did it with Katrina when you first started, and we had some kids that, you know, we just had overlapping games. And I was saying, okay, I got to be on this side of town at this point, this side of town at this point, and this side of town at this point. So you go 3 different, you know, parts of the city, and you almost have it timed out. Okay, we can stop at Whataburger at this point, but we've got to be here. And then for dinner time, we can stop at
That's so true.
Chick-fil-A, and then we can be there. So, you know, there's craziness to it. But, you know, for Christian, you know, I was able to, there's some times that I just look back and I said, you know, man, I was hard on that ref. And you have to go, you know, because of course I knew everything, right?
Of course.
You know, but
as the coach, you do automatically.
I think that as you grow in the time, it was one thing for.
So, do you think you changed from Coach Hibbs with Christian to Coach Hibbs as Aaron? Is it 2 different?
Oh, there was a dramatic change.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a dramatic.
Can you
change.
pinpoint when that was?
First and foremost, he's my male offspring, so you know he's got my dominant genes. So you know
there is a difference. There is.
And even between Jamie and Aaron, Jamie, when she got on the soccer field, the girl was crazy. She went lights out. It sounds like this player of the week this last week. At first, not really sure, but just went lights out. I mean, and there wasn't a lot of motivation I had to give her. You know, but when I got to Aaron, this is a whole different personality. This is my girl that loved doll babies. You know? She liked picking flowers, you know, and I had to put a little bit of motivation, but I had to understand that she wasn't, you know, that one individual. I had to allow her to develop and to grow in that, because otherwise she would stop playing very early, and she ended up playing until she was in 8th grade, and just loving it, you know. So, there was a total change there.
How do you think you were able to temper yourself between, you know, Christian and Jamie, you know, and how, you know, Christian was, you know, he was your son, and then Jamie needed no motivation. And then Aaron's a whole different person. How were you able to temper your expectations when it came to Aaron? You know, as a daughter of, you know, an almost 6-year-old, I was out on the soccer fields last night because Taya had a game. And, you know, Todd, I know that we send that video out, you know, that cute little video that's a video of kids, you know, telling the cameraman what they want from their parents. Listen, we sent that out, and I believe in it. And I'm telling you, I cannot sit down at Taya's games. Like I am pacing, like not a bad pace, but like man, like I just love watching her play. Like she is so stinking fast. Like, I mean, I was nothing but encouraging, but at the same time, you know, man, it is hard for me to sit down.
It is.
It is hard for me to sit down.
It is. Yeah. When I mean, it doesn't change. You know, I sat there and.
Do you sit down at games?
Yeah, I do, but that's only because, you know, like my boys were always like, Dad, just sit. Like we don't, I mean, that's how they are. But even today, like I'll go watch Colin play tonight, and I'll sit there, and every time he comes up to hit, I'm on the edge of my seat, to see what's going to happen. That's my boy,
Yeah.
Well,
and there's something to that.
That's the love of this. You want them to excel. You want them to be able to have that opportunity. I watch on Sunday or Saturdays so many times, and I just look across the crowd, and I see everybody that has their phone going, video,
for basketball season,
especially when their child has finally gotten the ball and they've attempted that shot, and you can see when that ball will bounce on the rim, boom. It's like dramatic, boom, boom, boom,
slow motion,
and fall out, and you just see the parents go, oh, just lose like lots. And then they're shooting away with that video.
The next one.
But when that shot finally goes in, I've seen people jump up, and that's the way it was with with me also. I mean, whether I was a coach or I was on the sideline, I just had to change my priorities.
Yes.
From being
that's good.
Understanding that each one of my children were at different points in their life. They're, God doesn't make everybody the same.
No.
And that's the beauty of it. And it makes a beautiful dynamic, especially when they get older, I should say. And I would just tell you that for watching, and the point that I would give any parent is, cheer your child on, because the worst thing that they want to do is see daddy or mommy getting arguments with the referee, or daddy and mommy getting in arguments with somebody else on the team or the coach or something else. First of all, these guys that are coaching, guys and girls that are coaching, they're doing it, generally at a request of somebody.
Yeah.
So, it's something that you want to be supportive of, and you want them to be the mentor for your child. So if you're talking badly about them or something, all that does is put a negative point in that child's mind.
Little ears are always listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that you want to. You can't have a message of saying our virtue this week is respecting others, and then all of a sudden on a Saturday morning that respect is just is dropped out. But it in the heat of the game, in the heat of competition, you see people do some goofy things. And I would say I was first and foremost in doing that at times. So it's one of those things I would tell you that for me, my education, for my learning, for my growth is okay. It's not about the win. It is about the ability to see the smile on your kid's face at the end of that game. Win, lose, or draw.
And they're so perceptive. You said something that I struck a nerve with me just now when you were talking about that shot goes up and then it bounces out, and then you hit delete on that video. And the fact of the matter is, for every video I have on my phone of a double or a backhanded play at short, I have 7 that I deleted of a strikeout or of a ground out or something like that. But kids pick up on that, and we need to. I can't just go over all of the great plays with them, right? Like, I mean, I have to be able to accept all of it, and it has to be. We live in an age today where we've created this idol of winning, basically,
or success,
success, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's where I think I've changed the most. And what you're talking about is like, okay, who cares? If you grounded out or went 0 for 3 that day or whatever. Like, who cares? And there was a time when we would get in the car on the way home, and I would tell him, "Man, you really need to change your stance, or you need to do this." And I'm coaching him. He doesn't care, especially at age 6. When she's way more concerned about going to Mad Mike's probably.
The post-game snacks.
The post-game stuff, right? Like, let her be. Let her be that.
The Sprite, yeah.
Because it gets exponentially harder as she grows older and gets with other kids that are just as fast, just as good. And then you start wanting her to be better than that, and you just have to remind yourself, like, what is this all about?
Yeah. You know, when you were talking about the ball that bounces in the rim, what popped into my head, and this is a conversation I don't know that I have ever entertained in my mind. So I'm rolling the ball out and seeing where it goes. Where I thought you were going with that is the ball bounces, you know, in the rim, and then it comes out, and then what does the gym do?
Yeah, you hear it. You hear it.
What do our reactions teach our children when they hear that? Right. I mean, it is a natural response.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. But, you know, I caught myself several times being sure, you know, when Taya kicked the ball, you know, off of the pitch or didn't do anything right. Like, I was purposeful in saying, hey, good hustle. Like, let's go. Like, keep going, you know. Rather than, man, she had this sweet play where she's a 5.5-year-old. Where she took the ball and she turned it really well. Like for a 5.5-year-old, she turned it really well. And then she kicked it towards the goal, and then it bounced off of the soccer goal.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I thought that was really cool. I mean, she didn't make a goal, you know, but the fact that she turned the ball and headed in the right direction, that's a win, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what? In most of those cases, especially a parent that knows where their child's at or the coach, you've got that natural, man, but that coach will say, good try. We'll get them next time. We'll get them next time, right?
Yes.
And parents will go and say, hey, good try there. You can do it. You can do it. You know, just continue, you know. So you want them to be able to see that. I mean, we're going to have that natural gasp.
Yeah.
Because we're wrapped up to it and we're so excited.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for that to go. I mean, I've seen more balls hit off a goalpost too. And when you knew that it was going to be surely in.
Sure.
And bounces, and then you go, but you know, I think the coaches that are focused and keyed in, and parents that are keyed in, that is the cool thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because they'll go and say, okay, we'll get them next time. We'll get them that next time.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, Todd, how many times me as a coach, when early on, I would wear a loss on my sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would play back, and my wife, Mary, would just go, you got to let this go.
Yeah.
Because I would spend the next 3 hours dissecting the game.
Yeah.
Okay, how could I have better played these kids so they would have had the win? And my kid truly wanted to be at CC's and eating meat because
they're not thinking about it.
He had no concern at that point.
Yeah.
I will tell you the most disappointing thing I ever saw in youth sports.
Okay.
And it was probably Jamie's 7th, 8th, 8th grade year of basketball. They had just finished playing at Young, but they were also playing with the Y League. And we walked into a game, and it was like 43-2. And is in the game, there is a boy that's going up for a free throw shot, and it's the team that only had the 2. The parents on the other side started bouncing their feet and just yelling at this probably 9-year-old boy to miss the free throw.
And they're up by like 40 points.
They were up by 40 points.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I said, that is so inappropriate. I was sitting on one of the lowest levels of the bench because my team, I just said, parents, that's so inappropriate. And man, I heard a woman use all forms of blasphemy against me for that. And at the end of the day, you know, the league had to take to the extent that they actually had to disband that team because it had gotten so competitive that they were looking past how good their team or their team was good.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were looking at that to just disparage other teams when they're struggling. I mean, so that's when you have to go and say, okay, this is where our league's off balance.
Right.
Where it comes back to the league that is put on here at the LC ministry.
Yeah.
You guys have it focused. You have it balanced. You go, each week when these kids are learning their fundamentals, they're also learning values and virtues and what it means to know what sportsmanship is.
Yeah.
What it means to be a champion, what it means in pursuit of doing your best. I used to use the little team cards that were given out, and I would put them on Facebook just as motivational for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, that's where this whole, when we talk about youth sports and in the direction that youth sports is going, so many people now see that, especially with the changes of college. Used to be that, okay, let's go get our child ready to be able to be drafted or recruited into a college situation for a scholarship.
Yeah.
Now it's for monetary gain.
Yeah.
Crazy monetary gain.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no commitment. There's a loss of commitment. There's a loss of the teams are becoming, it's more about me, the player, than it is me about the team.
Did you hear that, Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, it's a situation that there's just a total loss of the game.
Yeah.
And what I'm fearful of is, as we look forward, is that kids are not going to have this experience of knowing the fun aspects of it. That they're going to have coaches and parents that are going to be so driven that they lose the focus. And this is where it's important of what we have, to be able to, as we move forward,
Amen. Both of you guys said the same thing, and I want to talk to dads real quick about this. Is you mentioned when you hear that crowd respond to the missed shot, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can honestly say, from Pee Wee football through high school, if I threw an interception, I don't ever recall what the crowd did in the moment. But what I did know or remember was how my coach reacted to me when I got to the sideline and how my dad reacted to me when I got home. Those were the important conversations. Whatever happened out here, I was more in my own head about being disappointed in myself or whatever. But how did I get picked up when I got to the sideline by the coach or at home by my dad?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Essentially what you're saying is regardless of how the crowd responds, what your coach and what your mom or dad says after the game is what really matters.
That's what sticks with you.
Speaks the loudest.
Yeah.
And I think just to emphasize on that, I mean, parents, your words matter.
Absolutely.
Your words matter. The coach's words matter and the parents' words matter.
Yep.
And it's so important to leave the job of the coach to the coach.
Yes.
Parent, if you're not the coach, your job really is just to encourage and to cheer. Leave it to the coach. Leave coaching to the coach. And you just be a parent. And then the opposite side of that, coaches, I think that they have a dual responsibility to, coach and correct, but then also affirm. And probably affirm is higher than coaching. Yeah. Specifically in the recreational leagues. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you guys this, John, with what you said in regards to, the NIL, how things are going down that path, every specifically basketball season, during the evaluation, I tell parents up front, hey, listen, if you are looking for a club or a select league, this is not it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is not it. Yep. The expectation that we have is that we are only practicing for 1 day a week for 1 hour, and then we play on Saturdays. That's it. If you're looking for something more, I straight up tell them this is not for you. In this past season, I was thankful that we had two families back out because it wasn't what they were looking for. And that's good for the league, when a parent is able to realize, okay, I'm looking for something more, whatever. But going back to your statement, do you think that the rec leagues can remain if given direction, clear direction and a purpose? Do you think that they could maintain, I'm going to use the word, their purity, just in the definition of, just having fun, making sure that, fun, faith, and what was your third F?
Fun, friendship, and fundamentals.
Yeah. Do you think that rec leagues can maintain that in a healthy way?
Absolutely, and they have to. This is the challenge. Like when I was growing up, we did nothing on Wednesday nights or Sundays. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way education and sports was. It didn't matter if you were playing for the school or if you were playing in a little league team or something like that. Those nights were sacred, right? Yeah. So we kind of gave that up, and as we said, and especially the Y League when I got here to Arlington was exploding, and they had to put in things, and then but from a family standpoint, and this is where it got tough, especially with select leagues and everything else popping up. There was, we said church first, sports second. Mm-hmm. And that's the way that we always ran it is that, and if there was something that we could get in, a game on a Sunday afternoon, if there's a reschedule or if there was a tournament or something, fine, but we're not going to compromise church. Okay. And that was okay. Well, it's evolved to a point now. Well, okay, the kids are in select leagues and they're playing, and I get that. Yeah. And there's some commitments, especially if you're traveling and such. But when it comes to the recreational league, remember, only less than 1% of the kids are going to ever make it to the pros. Yeah. Maybe 2% will make it to college. But the thing about sports is it teaches disciplines. Mm-hmm. It teaches competition. It teaches growth in fundamentals, and it gives kids exercise. It gives all these valuable points. And then I always bring it back to Scripture, where it goes. Scripture talks over and over again about run the good race, seek out the prize, don't stop until you hit that finish. And that's important for the kids to see, and they need to know that. But where this league is so important, and this is what I would tell to the parents, the reason it's so important to have your child in this type of league is to let them determine for themselves what they're successful at, where they have the ability to.
What do they enjoy the most?
But with that, from a flip side of it, it's important for, leagues like this to say there is a place because we need to be about all the kids. Mm-hmm. The superstars are going to find their place, but this needs to be about all the kids and all the opportunity. Mm-hmm. I look at so many kids that have come through my 6th grade connection and a group, and I've seen some. Grace Dugan is a ballet dancer. Chelsea Sant is a gymnast. And you see these kids where they excelled in our rec league, had a lot of fun, built great relationships, but that may not have been their primary thing, but it gave them an opportunity to do something.
Yeah, and I would say it gave them a confidence to continue on, with their athletic pursuits. You mentioned Grace and and Chelsea, and they're not playing basketball anymore. Mm-hmm. They're not even playing soccer anymore. But what are they doing? I feel like we were able to teach them the importance of just, like you said, finish the race, keep going, don't give up, like continue to work at it. And now they're working at things that they're most interested in.
Absolutely.
And that's the foundation. I would hope that our recreational leagues, whether it's ours or all over the country, would go back to what really it's all about. And like, that's getting exercise, affirming kids, in their athletic pursuits and just having fun.
Absolutely.
Like as a kid, like that is the main thing, is to have fun. Yes, grow in fundamentals, but to have fun and to give kids, just an opportunity for success.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yep.
man. Well, John, thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun. You guys are awesome. You know that I just absolutely believe that, being able to work with kids myself is the pursuit that God has given me a gifting in.
Yes.
And
Sure.
I just want to continue to do it until you guys put me out to pasture.
Nope, we won't do
You got
that
a lot of
anytime
good years
soon.
left.
Nope. Well, thanks for listening to this episode. Hey, if you haven't liked or subscribed, go ahead and do that. And in the comments, tell us what you think. What's been your youth sports experience? And if you want to connect with us, go ahead and go to our Facebook page or Instagram and hit us up. So thanks so much for listening to Winning with the Home Team. John, thanks.
Hey, thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Have a great week.
Man, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed hearing us ramble about youth sports or other strangely interesting sports topics related to families, please go and like and subscribe to the show so that you can get regular updates when a new podcast is released. We'd also love to connect with you. Head on over to our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We're under LC Sports and Recreation.
And if you're new to our podcast, go check out some of our previous episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's some good stuff on there. And pay attention because these come out pretty quickly, weekly, as a matter of fact. And you're going to learn a lot about what we have to say with regards to our league and how to win with the home team.